Good day, friends, and welcome to part 2 of this 1980 custom Les Paul refret. And I did say at the end of part 1, when I come back in part 2, we'll be ready for refretting, and we are. And I've filled all the chipped areas on the fingerboard, and I think you'll agree, made a pretty good job of this. Took a lot of work. Took me, I did basically over 3-4 days. I've done this, but there you go. What do you think to that? All the chips are gone. I've had it soaking in mineral oil overnight, the fingerboard, just to soften the wood inside the slots there. Now, what I need to do before I do get the frets in though, I need to smooth off this fingerboard. There's some scratches this way, a few, where I filed off, where I repaired. But I knew that anyway, but I still need to radius this board. So the next part of the process is, I'm going to get the three-way out, remove all this tape, get the three-way out. I'll drop this pickup right inside the guitar. If it doesn't go low enough, which it probably won't with the pickup, I'm going to remove the pickup ring, drop the pickup inside, tape over it so we've got nothing in the way, and I'm going to level it all off on the jig behind me over there. We're going to get I'm going to check the radius. It should be 12-inch, and we're going to get a 12-inch radius block on there, big aluminium one with some coarse grit sandpaper, and we are going to sand it up and down the fingerboard, and we're going to go with various grits. Probably start with something around about 160 just to get it all in shape. Then we'll go with some 240 400 to smooth it off. Once that's done, we can look at getting the new frets in. So like I say, welcome to part 2. I will come back with an update when we've got this on the jig, so stay tuned for that. See you shortly. Welcome back, guys. I hope you're liking the Hagrid hairstyle. So we've got a bit of boof on today because I washed it this morning. Been a really busy day today. I've actually been over to Hiscox Cases to see my mate Rob Peach over there. Been to pick up a couple of guitar cases for some pals, and I'm back here with this custom Les Paul. Now I'm putting the frets in now, and it's, well, I'm not putting them in, I'm actually cutting them, and it's not a 2-minute job because obviously because we are binding, we've got to cut the nibs off each side and fit them inside the binding, and I've done 4. It will take quite a while, and I've got all the other fret wire cut into lengths this size. It's radius to, it's quite tight, it's much tight radius as it needs to be. It's radius to about, I don't know, maybe 9-inch with a 12-inch board. Each piece of fret wire I've got here is wide enough for 2 frets. It gets gradually bigger the more I go along the neck. I've done the first 4. I'm working my way up now in pairs, so I'll do 5 and 6, 7 and 8, 9, 10, and blah 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 blah, etc. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one. I'm going to show you how I cut, measure, and get them all prepared to go into the fingerboard. I do apologise for the noise next door. My wife is doing someone's dreadlocks, and he's just turned up, so it'll be gab 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 for the next 5 hours, I imagine. But I'm going to crack on with this, and I'll show you how I go on. I'll explain as I do it. I'll put the camera on the guitar like so, and hopefully you will be able to hear something. Just bear with me a second. I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to go and shut the middle door, and we won't hear them so much then. So bear with. Right, good stuff. So we're back. So here we are, and basically I'm going to show you really quickly how I go on with the camera pointed at the guitar. Like I say, I've done these 4, and you'll see that they, well, you might see, fit just inside the binding, and the radius slightly, a little bit more than they need to be. Got the first 4 done. Wednesday, I don't normally work Wednesday afternoons. It's Wednesday afternoon, but because I've got half a day off, I've actually, like I said, I've been out to Cannock. I've also been up to North Mansfield to pick up a fantastic bass today. Someone was giving my details. This lady's husband passed away a couple of years ago, leaving behind a 1974 Fender Jazz bass in immaculate condition. It's been laying there, and she don't know what to do. She didn't want to sell it because it was his, but she says, what would my husband want? Well, he wouldn't want it lying there doing nothing. So she decided she might be selling it, but she says she needs it looked at because it's not quite set up right. So I'm going to give it a look over. I have it here in my house, in a secret place in my house. It's not in the workshop, it is actually under my bed in its case. It is, as it stands, it is probably worth £3,000 or thereabouts. It is in immaculate condition, but it does need a setup. So I'm going to set that up, have a look, and I'm going to try and sell it for her. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I do frets. So I'm going to measure where I need to be. A bit of overhang there. That's 1. That's 2. Plenty of overhang there. Plenty there. So I'm going to cut right there. These are my cutters. Got these from Australia. They're ground flat at this end. I sharpen them more or less every time I use them. Great cutting tool or cutting plier. So there you go. I've got 2 frets. If we've got overhang, we're absolutely fine. Brilliant. Got plenty there, plenty there. Now what I'll do is where the tang is bent here, don't know if you can see, it's bent upwards. I can either straighten it, or in this case, because it's so much bigger than I need it to be, I can just nib our end off. And I'm going to cut it flush and square, like so. And there you go. And now the whole tang is nice and straight. There you go. Now I'm not going to cut it to size yet. Don't need to. See how much we need there. We'll have a little bit of overhang. That's fantastic. Got a lot more than we need. So again, I'll cut a little more. Always leave a little bit of extra on. That tang's nice and flat there, nice and straight, 90 degrees, and that is just perfect. So that's the first one. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my nibbers, like so. These are for cutting. There's a little bit of nib off here. You'll see more. So basically we get it like this with that little bit cut out, but it's good so we can get an overhang. So I'm going to stick these back in their hole. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to just remove a little bit of this tang by placing it in the cutter like so. I don't know if you can see there, hopefully you can. Line it up, and we're just going to nib that little bit off, and you see there I've cut that little bit off. I'm going to do the same the other side. I'll measure first, make sure I don't cut off too much. That's good. Again, this side. Not the best nibbers in the world, but they do a job. And there you go. Now I've got a lot of excess there. We don't cut flush at all. In fact, we don't cut very close, to be honest with you. I will see if I can get in again and nib a little bit more away. Just to be a little bit better. And I shall finish off with a file. And there you go. That's pretty good. I'm pretty close here. Again, checking the width of the tang. That's fantastic. Now I will take, I've got a brand new number 4 cut file. I just bought this last week. This is 23 quid, Swiss made, top brand. It is so fine. It feels smooth. It feels like German moleskin trousers, you know, moleskin material. And it's got one safe edge just there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this file and I'm going to remove this little bit of excess. Checking that I don't cut too much into a fret. This file cuts so well, and then when I come to the finishing, I'll get the bit where it doesn't cut the safe edge there, and I will just rub across. I'll check, and there you go, and that is that nib there. God, that's absolutely perfect. I'm going to do the same this side. Safe edge to the inside like so. So I'm going to remove that little bit of excess there that's left behind from the nibbers. Again, feel for the safe edge. This is the safe edge. Take your fret. Keep checking back. Keep checking back. Beautiful. And that's it, and that is another one cut. See that? Maybe I need to get my hand behind it to see it all. That one's cut. Just check the width of the tang. That's absolutely beautiful. We will just place it in there. Now the thing is with these slots, they're not as wide as they ought to be. I'm going to slightly try and widen these. I've got to be very, very careful when I put these in, because otherwise we could have a fret. There you go. Could have one go skew width, and there you go. That's it. And we can just, if we want to, just take a fretting hammer Just give it a little tap to know that we're going to glue both sides. And there you go, we know that's going to fit. Absolutely brilliant. So that's another one done. And now I'm going to crack on and get the other 17 done. So there you go, that's how I cut a fret. I'm going to do this one now, number 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to crack on. So come back later. And here we are, all ready to get the frets in. I've taped up fingerboard, and how I do that is I take each individual fret, place it where it needs to be, and tape either side of it. Do it for all 22 frets, as you can see, down the sides, both sides. That way we get any glue spillage, it'll be easier to clean up, it won't drip onto the guitar. I have all 22 frets pre-cut, like so, blah blah blah, all cut to length, all had the tang removed where it needs to be removed, so they all fit perfectly well. Where we pulled that one out from, number 20, from long to short. I think you can see that there. All the tangs cut, blah blah blah, and they are all now ready to go in. Now, we've been a Les Paul, this end at the body end of the guitar does not fit underneath the fret press, so we have to hammer these in. So the first, have a look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Half of them have to be hammered in. 11 frets hammered in, the other 11 frets pressed in. I'm not going to show you the ones hammering in because it can be a messy affair, it can be a bit of a pain. It takes a good few taps with an hammer. The trick is to hammering frets in is don't whack them in, tap them in, tap the edge in, and just tap them across the length. And keep tapping until they're seated. You don't go whacking it like that because it's all it's going to do is put a dent in the guitar, it's going to splatter glue everywhere, it's going to make a noise, and it's going to bend the frets. So we're always gentle. Now, thing is with an ebony board like this, the board is really hard. Also, where we've filled in all the chipping and repairs, the frets are very narrow. So we're more or less going to have to force the frets in there. So what we need is we need to get them in straight. I will be doing the frets obviously one at a time. I will not be gluing 11 slots then banging the frets in. I'll be gluing one slot at a time, getting the fret in, and I'll be doing it until I've got 11 in. I will be checking with a level, but if we don't go in dead level, it doesn't matter. I will be clamping them, but saying that there's probably not much point clamping them because once they're in, they're in. They're going to be uneven anyway. I could clamp over the top. I don't think it's going to really make any difference. I will cross that bridge when I get to it. Regarding once the frets are more or less in, I will take a 12-inch radius caul. The little brass thingamabobs there. Have I got any out? No, there aren't any out, so if I can just grab them quick if I can't tough. Here they are. There you go. They are your cauls. I will take the 12 and I will place it over the fret once I've hit it in, and I'll just tap it across just to make sure it's all seated nice, minding my fingers as I do so. I'm not filming this bit. There could be some effing and jeffing. It is a messy affair. I could hit my finger or thumb, especially when I'm using the caul. I've done it a few times before. You don't want to catch that on video. So I will crack on with it and I will come back and show you how we got on. Well, those first 11 went in really well, and I never really expect them to go in that well when you're hammering them in because sometimes you get a bit of spring back, but the fret slots were actually the right width for the tang, which is brilliant. They looked thinner than they were because I'd obviously fixed the cracked and chipped areas at the top and it made it look like we're a lot slimmer, but once the frets have gone in, it's a little bit wider inside. Filled them up with Titebond, no problem. Got them in, checked them all for level. They're all pretty much level with each other. All on a good radius in there, and I have just clamped up those first 11 frets. We've got good clampage there. We have got good shielding from the guitar wood itself underneath with blocks and foam. Some felt in there as well, so we're not going to mark the guitar. First 11 frets in and clamped. They shouldn't move anywhere. I'll give that a few hours, let that settle and sit down, and the final 11, which we have here, will go in on the fret press, which will be a lot easier. So this basically today I will have the frets in. I'll do the other clamping, that'll be done overnight. I've got no idea what time it is right now. I'll just grab hold of my what time is it? Oh, it's It's about 20 to 6 in the afternoon. Right, that's good, it's flown by today. So I'm going to leave them clamped for an hour or two. I'm going to move on to something else for a short while. Round about, maybe around about 8 o'clock, 8:30, 2 hours time, I'll get the rest of them pressed and glued in, and I can clamp it up, and I can just let this sit overnight, and I can come back tomorrow and we'll look at getting them all levelled, beveled and crowned. So be back soon. Right, morning friends. Just show you where we are on this 1980 custom Les Paul guitar. I'm now at the fret crowning stage. We've done all the bevel, we did the edges, the bevels, and we're levelling prior to this, obviously. And I know I've explained this a dozen times or more, or maybe even hundreds of times, I don't know. But using 3 files for this, and because we've levelled the frets, we're now flat, so we need to put that put that crown back in, that curve. Where we're flat, we're going to put the curve back in. And I use 3-edge file for this. This is from Crimson Guitars. I've had it years. It costs 17 quid and it's brilliant. And it's just fantastic. I'm not going to zoom in or anything. All I do is I'm running across, and as I run across, I'll roll over this way, and I roll over a little bit more. Not every stroke, but I just do it by feel, and I keep rolling over. There's a couple of ways you can do it. Like so, and I take my time with it, and once I've used that file, then I use my smoothing file, which is pretty much the same thing. 3 edges, ground edges there. We always wipe the file before using, because of the burrs that we get on there, and then we'll use that one, and then finally I will use my crowning file. Got 3mm side, well, it's 2.5mm side and a 2mm side, it says, but I've measured them at 3mm and 2.5, and this has got the concave. Is it concave? Convex, not sure. The one that goes in, it's got the curved cut in there, and we finish off with that, and it does a profile. Then eventually I will finish off with a diamond crowning file. So that's how we do it, and also every fret I check that we're maintaining the level. So I'm not going to zoom in, but yeah, all level. That means we've got no rock anywhere. I've already checked these, I never absolutely bang on. And this is the way I do it. Different guitar techs, different luthiers have their own methods of doing things. I like to do them one at a time and check every single time. I'm not going to level again afterwards, just to make sure we're level everywhere. And I know we're level before I start. So I'm going to crack on with this. Stick that out of the way. File, wipe, wipe, wipe. Now we've got the guitar on the neck jig. It's perfectly level, it's not moving anywhere. But some of these frets are quite flat because some of them went in a little bit high. I think it's because I hammered these in, the first 11, and these were all pressed in. The ones pressed in went in that little bit deeper. I don't like hammering in, really. It's not my favourite. Well, it's not that I don't like it, it's just you don't seem to get as good an impression. You don't seem to go as deep. It doesn't make a difference as long as they're level and there's no gaps, which there aren't. But if I could get a press that did this end, it'd be even brilliant, even better. Changing the file over. And we're looking for that thin line on top there. See, we're rolling away from you now, just to get that curve in there. This is a double cut, cuts both ways, this file. It's a really smooth file as well, it's like a number 3 cut. Don't need to go mental. What you're always looking to do is maintain that semicircle on the edge here where the bevels are. Just maintain that semicircle and you're going to be just about right. And then we'll go to the 2.5mm. Give it a wipe. You may not see a lot happening, but trust me, this is working. I can feel it cut in. And we've got a nice thin pen line right down the centre there. That's exactly what we want, because that's the area that the string is going to be hitting. Just 1/3 of a millimetre, if that, down the centre. And then what we're going to do is we're going to check for level. That's beautiful. We'll check with the next one up. That's fantastic, and we'll check with the next one back. And that's brilliant. Again, that's level with all these, and level. These are all level anyway, I've already checked them. So that's it. That's me crowning my frets. I'm going to crack on, get this done, because this guitar will be going out next week. Mike will be coming for this at the end of the week. So I'm going to crack on, get this done, and I'll come back with an update shortly. And here we are, and this is all the crowning done. All the frets now have that curve on top, or what we call the crown, all now ready for final polishing. I've been across, checked the level again with the fret rocker. The level's absolutely fine. This one at this end is a tiny bit lower, the last one. That doesn't matter because it's the last fret, we like it like that anyway. I normally make it a little bit lower. So that's it, the frets are absolutely bang on. I've also filed these beveled edges with a number 4. This is a proper Swiss number 4 file. Very, very fine. Look at that, it's almost smooth. It has one safe edge here, which enables me to just go over, and it's just a matter of 3 strokes, one that way, one this way, rolling over as we go, and one just straight down the centre, and that just takes off the burrs off that semicircle at the edge of the bevel there. Now when it comes to polishing these up, I'll also polish up the edges using the same grit sandpaper. Just give it a light rub. I'll show you this sort of effect. I'll get the sandpaper and we'll just give it a slight rub this way, or this way like this, just to round them edges off. And I'll do it with every grit, just to make sure we get no burrs each side. And then we'll polish, going up from, I imagine going up 1000, 1200, 1500 and 2000 grit sandpaper. If I need to do 2500 after that, I will do. You normally don't have to. And I'll finish off with finest grade steel wool. I'm not going to film it because I want to crack on with this. I've got a lot of work on at the moment, so check back later. So I just want to show the next part of the process, and like I said, if you remember, I say I use 4 or 5 different grits of paper to polish the frets. I'm actually using more than that. I've got my regular 1000, 1200, 1500 and 2000 for doing polishing. I might even finish with 2500, but I also take a piece of 800, and what I do with the 800 is I soften the edges of the bevels. But 2 ways I'll normally come across this way, just soften the edges, and I'll also go this way. And then when it comes to doing the whole of the neck, I'll just go and soften the edges. And then what I do is take my piece of 800 and along the whole length, I just round over this way. And what this does, this does 2 things. 1, it rounds over the edges. 2, it softens the edges of the bevels, you can't even feel them now. And 3, it puts scratches this way on the frets. And what I do then is, when I come to doing the polishing, start with 1000 grit, I will remove those scratches going this way. And I'll go right inside, get the finger right in there, and I'll do all 22 frets, and I'll do it this way from this side, then I'll turn the bench around or the jig round, and I'll do it from that side as well. And I'll do this for all 22 frets, both sides, get right in the corner, and we're going to polish out the scratches I've put in this way. I'm going to polish out that way with 4 different grits of paper. So really you're going to get 8 polishes with this, 4 grits of paper, 2 ways. And that's it, that's one done, I'll move on to the next one. And we're going to polish out all of those scratches, and that's what we're looking for. And once we've done this with the 4 grits, we're going to take the finest grade super fine steel wool, which is grade 0000, super fine, and we're going to finish off with that. I may try it with rubbers, I don't know. I bought some crimson fret rubbers last year, and I don't really rate them that much, though a friend of mine has said that he actually likes the Stumac ones, they're really good. So I'm not really. I'm quite happy working with sandpaper, different bits of sandpaper and steel wool, and getting it all done this way. So there you go. So I've started 2 off. I've gone one way, and I'll get the other 20 done. Then I'll turn the guitar around 180 degrees, do it from the other side. Then I'll move through the grits of paper. Just wanted to get that on camera just to show you what's what. I'll come back with an update again later. And there we are, friends, with this beautiful 1980 Gibson Les Paul Custom. All the frets are polished, highly polished, absolutely brilliant, come out really well. As I polish also, I'm still checking the level of the frets, so I know the level's absolutely bang on. bit across again with fret rocker. All that really remains to be done now is we're going to fit the nuts. We've got a Graphtec Tusk nut going on there. Tusk being basically a man-made bone. We're a self-lubricating nut. I use them all the time. I got the bone nut out of here quite easily, no damage. I will be, because it's a long lasting nut, I will be fitting it with some epoxy underneath, so we get a nice good level platform. And that's really it. I have also got to put, I'm going to put the pickup surround back on there, get the pickup set. And that's really all that needs to be done. I'll check the electrics, I'll get the three-way selector all sorted out. And that really is it. Oh, something else I've got to do as well. The edges of the binding here, where I've cut through, I will be filling with an epoxy resin I'm going to mix up later. You'll see it there. Done it on a couple of guitars. You won't see it. I'll slightly stain it, colour it. You won't see it at all. You won't even know. So, nice little trick we've got there. So that really is it. Quite a lot of chips on this guitar, especially on the side of the neck here, but I've not seen before. They must have been there when I got the guitar. I'll check the back video anyway. If not, that's come out with the tape. But I don't see why it would come out putting the tape down that edge and peeling that off, blah blah blah. But anyway, we'll have a look at that later. So there we go. It's looking fantastic. I've got a lot to do. I can't move for guitars in this workshop at the moment. I've got at least a dozen in. I'm taking nothing on for at least 2 weeks again. It seems to be the order of the day at the moment. Every 2 or 3 weeks I'm posting up, don't bring anything in for 2 weeks, and that's fantastic. So nothing to complain about, but I do have a lot to do, so I'm going to crack on. Check back later, we'll get this all finished up, and maybe we'll have a little listen to it. Right, I'm just going to show a little bit of fitting on the nut, and I'll explain a little bit about the nut as well, because I use Graphtec nuts. Have I got any packages knocking about? I don't think I have. I use Graphtec nuts. They're man-made. You have two types. You have Tusk, T-U-S-Q, or you have Nubone, N-U-B-O-N-E. And they are both man-made replacement for bone nuts. They are self-lubricating. Don't ask me about the molecules and the structure and everything. It will just say they're self-lubricating. Explain a load of bump on their website, whatever. But I use them. And this one has got an acoustic nut fitted. This Les Paul, because Mark pulled me up on it, the owner of the guitar. He says, why are you putting an acoustic one on there? I said, well, it makes no difference. I buy a nut according to the fit. So I buy them by size, not by what guitar they're meant for. An acoustic nut, an electric nut, or whatever, made by Graphtec, they're made of the same substance, it doesn't matter. So disregard what it says on the piece of paper there. And you'll see I've dry fitted the nut. I've already carved it a little, just to make it fit. And there you go, it fits perfect. And I also shape these edges to fit with the curve of the neck of the guitar, and that's a perfect fit. Problem with this is it is very, very high. It's a lot higher than we need it to be. So using those nut slots as a guide, I'll cut them deeper and I will file this nut down until it gets close to where I need it to be. Then I'll fit some strings. I'll fit an old set of strings. I've got loads of old sets knocking about just for this purpose. And when they eventually do snap at the end, I just bin them. I've got loads of them. So I will fit some strings once I've carved this nut down a little. I will glue this nut in as well once I'm happy with the fit. Now the nut, if I just show, I'm not going to move the camera at all. I'm just going to drop it here. So you're only going to see this bit. It is dry fitted. It fits really pretty tight, but it's easy to pull out. And you'll see I've carved a little bit off the front there. I've carved both edges and I've rounded both the tops just to get it where I need it to be. It's got even a number on there. It's a TUSQ 6000 dash, I don't know what it says there. Get the magnifying glass on it. TUSQ 6000-00. Normally used for an acoustic guitar. This just fits a Gibson more or less perfectly. You just had to shave a little bit off this edge just to make it fit. There you go. So that is a really good fit in there. What I will do is I will knock it either way to where it needs to be. I'm probably going to stick some epoxy in this again, so it's not going to be easy to get this back out later. But if we ever do need to replace a nut, what we'll do is we'll saw it down the centre and we'll crack it off. and we'll clean up the area behind it. This nut will be on this guitar for a long time, so I'm thinking epoxy is probably a good way to go, and it gives me drying time as well. So there, really nice fit, feels smooth at the edges. I could go a tiny bit more, just make sure we're where we need to be. I don't want any, I could just tap that just ever so slightly. That feels really pretty good there. That feels fantastic. So that's where I need it to be. So I'm going to get this glued in, and I will do the final shaping of the knot on the other table over there in my vise. And I think we're on to a winner. That's looking beautiful. Right, so we do have a small problem with this custom. And I've got it strung up and it plays nice. But the thing is, the neck is dead straight, and that is with the truss rod slackened right off. It means we have no relief in the neck. Now, if you remember, I had exactly the same problem. I had a Greco custom come in with exactly the same problem. That was before I refretted it. This is now happening after I've refretted it. Now, that is because I imagine the tang on these frets is a bit wider than the tang on the frets that came out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do exactly the same thing I did with the Greco. I'm going to slacken off the truss rod. I'm going to clamp the guitar, well, I'm going to get the guitar all strapped up, and I'm going to clamp in the centre, and we're going to treat it with some heat. We're going to get some heat in the neck, we're going to clamp it slightly back, and we're going to create some relief in this neck with the truss rod slackened off. Once we start to tighten that truss rod, then we want to get that relief back out. String tension alone is not enough to give me any relief. I've been across with the not straight edge. And we have fall off at this end, but we do have the tiniest bit of relief, but we are talking, wow, a 20th of a millimetre. I would like to see some relief of getting up to around about half a millimetre before we start tightening the truss rod. As you can see, I've cut the nut. I've got a little bit more fettling to do on the nut. We are almost there, but we are not right down where we need to be. I'm going to bring the guitar up to, there you go, that's the best you're going to see. We just need to take some more off the top of that nut there and cut the grooves. The guitar's set up fine, it plays fine. The action is set where it needs to be, between 1.75 and 2, just over 1.75 at 12 fret on the low E, 1.5 at 12 fret on the high E. Got no buzz anywhere, but I would like to see some relief in this neck. It just gives us that option, doesn't it? The knot has gone in beautiful. Like I say, I used a little bit of epoxy on the knot. That has gone in really nice. And that's really all I can do. So I'll come back, I might show a picture of this clamped up or a little bit of video tomorrow morning, but I'm going to crack on because I've got a lot of things to do, but we will get it right, no problem. Right guys, I hope you can work out what's happening here. I have the Les Paul Custom clamped up. We have a big clamp in the middle of the neck with a big strip of steel running down the centre. It's about 30mm wide, this piece of steel. It's really hot because I've got a hot iron on there. We've got a little bend in there, and we are heating the steel just so the wood gets hot. The guitar, the neck is hot underneath. It's just getting hot underneath this side. What I'll do is I'll do 10 minutes each side, and what I'll do after about 20-25 minutes, I'll move the clamp, I'll move it across about 2 frets and get a little bit of bend in there. That should be enough to get the little bit of relief I need in there. The truss rod is loosened right off, and these are just this clamp and this clamp are just holding clamps, making sure the guitar goes nowhere. The guitar itself is not touching any surface. We have it all padded underneath, and again here in a safe area on the neck where it can still create some bend without damaging the guitar anyway. We've got a nice thick padding under there. This is the way I bend the guitar. It takes a bit of setting up to get the balance right, but once you've done, it's a really good way of doing it. You can see we've got the guitar clamped here and here. We don't clamp this until we've got the middle done. We clamp the bend we need with the steel strip on there. Then these aren't even tight. These are just quite a bit loose, just to hold the guitar in place. That one's a little bit tight. Oh, that's behind the tuner there anyway, so that's right. But yeah, you see, it's not mega tight because we don't want to be moving this steel strip. And all I'm going to do is just keep checking underneath that we're getting some heat in there. That's getting nice and warm now. This is just cooling down on this side. And we'll do this a couple of times, and then I'll move the clamp, I'll move it across a couple of frets, and I'll move it across one more fret, and we'll just get a nice gentle curve. We're looking to get about 0.5 millimetre maximum of relief in the neck. Once we do a quarter turn on the truss rod, we'll straighten that neck out completely. That will be plenty. I will come back and give an update shortly. And here we are, and mission accomplished with this 1980 Custom Les Paul, or Les Paul Custom. We have got relief in the neck. I've had it on the jig. We've had it, I'll give it some heat treatment. We've got a little bit of relief in there, about 0.4 mil, round about a 7 fret, which is fantastic. So now all that remains to be done is I'm going to get it all strung up. We're going to get it set up. I'm going to finish cutting the nut, and this guitar will be ready to go back. So, back shortly. Right, friends, you'll see that the Custom is back on the neck jig, and there's a reason for that, and it's completely my fault. And the problem being with the tang, the width of the fret tang, I never even thought about it because I've used this wire on Mark's guitars before. But being a wider fret tang, what it's done is it's straightened the neck out, leaving me no relief. So I've had to heat treat it to get some relief in the neck and bend it, clamp it up. And because I've done that, it has knocked the frets back out of whack, whether it's melted glue or what, or it's just moved something about, I don't know. So I've had to completely re-level the frets, and now I've got to re-crown them and re-polish them. So it's another day's work for me. And it's caused a lot of problems, but I've offered to Mike. We've not lost any height on the frets. We're 1.2 millimeters high still, which is great for a 1.3 millimeter fret. Even anything over 1 millimeter's fine when we use a 1.3 fret and we do a level like we have done. But I've said to Mike, look, when it's done, if you're not happy with it, you know, you don't like it, what I'll do is I'll refret it again for absolutely nothing at my cost in my time. So best I can do. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to get these, going to get re-crowned, get them repolished, get it all taped up, re-crowned, repolished, and let Mike have it back, and we'll see where we are. And here we are, and I did scoot on from the last part of the video where I was about to polish or level and polish the frets again. All the frets were leveled and polished, and here it is, strings on, blah blah blah, it's all tuned in, and there are the new frets, and it looks really good. Then again, it's a Gibson Les Paul Custom, it should look really good. Look at that. The guitar is not without problems. It has dings, dongs, nicks everywhere. One thing I'm not happy with, or was not happy with, is the paint tends to fall off, or it has fallen off on this where the binding meets the neck. Mike has already said he can get this sprayed up again for nothing, so it's not too major. But you know, when these things happen, they don't really cheer you up too much. Couple of bits here down this edge. But end of the day, see what Mike says. Also, one problem I had with the frets. The reason I got too much backbone in the neck was I used a wide tang. I will not be making that mistake again. I will not be doing that again. I will only use the narrowest of tang when I am refretting Gibson or Gibson type guitars, because this did cause problems. And since that, I've done a Bernie with a narrow tang fret wire, and it went in really easy. It ended up being a really good job. And there's a video of that. If you go and check my backlog now, I think I posted the final part of that yesterday, so you can go far back, and that looks absolutely wonderful. So, you know, future me, don't buy the wide tang stuff. In fact, I didn't even check the width of the tang, to be honest with you. I just banged it in because I know Mike had asked for this 3mm wire, and I've used it before in some of his Fenders, and it went in without a problem. This being a Gibson, totally different guitar, different kind of woods, and also a band neck, so we've got to be a little bit more careful. We can always use a narrower tang and put more glue in there, you know. It's the best way. When you're messing about binding and stuff, you don't want to be nicking through binding. There's a couple of places I've nicked through the binding. You know, like I said, I'd fill it, and I have filled it, but it's not come out that brilliant. But like Mike says, you'll have a look at it, see what it is. Mike is a very reasonable man, so we'll see where we are. He's coming to fetch this tonight, so I'm just making sure I've just got it all tuned in, make sure it's all right. I've checked the 3 he has bought in, got them all ready for going out. They're all now ready. So this is another project finished. It's been a lot of work, but it's been a good one. I still think the frets look fantastic. So let's see where we are later. So that's it, another project finished. So until the next time, boys and girls, be good to each other, and I will see you soon.